Allyn flash drives are a funny thing. Most people buy them strictly as utility. I've got to move files from one place to another.
Yep.
They don't really care about what brand it is, what the performance is, things like that. This is not the flash drive for those people.
No, it's not.
The Corsair is releasing today the Corsair Flash Voyager GTX, and although it looks kind of just like your normal everyday USB 3.0 flash drive, it's actually quite impressive. So it's going to be released in 128 gig and 256 gig variants.
It's pretty big.
That in and of itself is noteworthy. It's USB 3, so you know that we can expect a good performing drive.
Mm-hmm.
But what you might not expect is how good of a performer this happens to be.
Okay.
Because it is essentially SSD internals, is that right?
Yeah, it's a Phison, what is it?
Yep, Phison PS3109 S9.
Yes.
Do you have any other experience with that controller?
We have not, I don't believe we've tested that controller on anything.
In any other SSDs, right? But it is an SSD controller.
It is an SSD controller. Yeah,
that you would maybe buy a 2.5-inch drive.
It's on like MSATA.
MSATA drives, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So what does that really change, right? What technologically is different about using an SSD controller versus what, a USB 3 controller or just a USB device?
There's going to be some sort of a bridge chip in there that's going to go from that Phison controller because it's not natively USB out, right? So there's some bridge chip, but if you're in regular USB mode, it's going to be kind of fast, right? But if you're in any of those, now I forgot the acronym.
UASP.
Yes, that, which is basically passing SATA over a sort of a SCSI layer through to the host OS via USB. So it's able to do stuff like command queuing and...
I think it was a generation or two of motherboards ago, JJ from Asus came out and tried to explain what UASP was. He said, this will be really important in the future. Here's a demo product. But we didn't really see anything of it. This drive, this drive does support UASP.
Yep.
And the results are pretty impressive, right? So if you look at the performance metrics that we got with this, before enabling UASP, before installing the Asus driver, we tested this on a Z97 Deluxe motherboard. We were able to get 389 megabytes per second read and 205 megabytes per second write.
Which is pretty good.
Which is really good.
Yeah.
Right? For, again, we have the 128 gig model here, although I don't think performance would change in the 256 gig model.
I mean, it might be a little bit higher, but probably not.
Yeah.
They're using the same number of packages in there for both models.
And it's a 4-channel controller, and according to Corsair, this is using all 4 channels.
Yep, even on the smaller one.
Yeah, on this drive.
Yep.
After installing UASP, that read speed jumps from 389 to 462.
Yep.
It's pretty good. The write speed jumps from 205 to 371. And this is using ATTO as kind of a standard test metric there. We did some other benchmarks as well, and they were all showing similar levels of performance gain after having enabled UASP.
Yep, and you get other improvements if you're doing really small random reads, for example. You'd see higher performance because it actually has a queue when it has USB on.
Okay, whereas with your just in USB mode,
it's just
one
command at a time.
Always. Yeah. Okay. Cost-wise, it's going to be expensive for thumb drives. Although I'm hesitant to even really call it that.
It's a lot of capacity for thumb drives.
The 128 gig version is $120, and the 256 gig version is $200.
So it's still less than $1 gig even.
Yeah, I mean, I think the larger capacity is like somewhere 73, 74 cents per gig. And you're getting it in a super small form factor for interesting use cases. We talked about interesting use cases for this. Obviously, if you just have a lot of data you want to move back and forth very quickly, and you have USB 3 and you have the capable drivers installed in all those places, this is going to be way faster than any networking you have in your house for sure. Another interesting idea is, can you use this to boot off of? Make this a bootable, kind of a portable operating system.
Yeah, I mean, Windows 8 supports, more easily supports, right? There's been ways to do it in the past, but like when Windows 8 was in development, they gave out USB drives that had it on it. They were able to run it portably, basically.
Right.
So there's ways to do that, especially nowadays with Windows 8 and 8.1.
I think you have to have very specific usage models for that to be useful, you want to have, maybe on your main desktop you have your normal stuff, but maybe on this is like your super secret hiding it from the NSA type build, and so you install this every once in a while, that's when you do some certain things, or maybe it's less nefarious than that. And it's
There's
like,
probably ways
this
to
is
get...
when you go to work, right? You
Yeah.
can put this in your work machine and have all your personal stuff on it. Right, you don't want to interact. You don't want to combine
just
those
access
things.
it as opposed to.
Well, no, I'm saying like boot off of it into your home.
You're making so many IT people work.
Well, hey, I'm just saying that these are options you can do with this particular drive. Or maybe you go spend the weekend at grandma's house, but you don't want to mess up her computer. You bring a portable OS this way or something like that. I don't know. There are use cases for it besides just being a dummy thumb drive that you put in your backpack, I guess.
What I think is awesome here is that if you want to do that from a portability standpoint and have a portable OS on there and just you're booting into your entire OS, it wasn't too long ago that really it was a big deal to have 128 gig SSD in your system, right? And it wasn't going as fast as this.
Yeah, and now you get it over USB 3.
Like they were on SATA 3 gigabit.
Yeah.
Right? This is going faster than that. This is going faster than 250 meg per second on reads and writes. So not too long ago, the best thing in your system was slower than this. And this is portable and, pretty good. Yeah. And it's pretty light, right?
The only thing I would maybe say about it is my one complaint is when you are dealing with USB ports in the back of your system, sometimes the width of that can come in the way. And this does. On that Z97 Deluxe board, I think if you try to use the top port, it would block something else out of the way.
Stuff,
so USB extension cable or something like that running around might be beneficial. That's not included in the package or anything.
That's true.
But maybe that would be something to consider if they wanted to upgrade it or you were looking to buy one and add something else to it. So that is the Corsair Flash Voyager GTX, available at 128, 256 gig models. Again, $120 for the small capacity, $200 for the large capacity, and it is available today. So if you need obnoxiously fast USB 3.0 performance that you can put in your pocket, maybe put on your key ring, there you go.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.